All right, guys, we are live at the Phoenix bus strike. There's a press conference, and Courtney's doing a live shot. Let's listen.
They're holding another press conference in just a little bit. We'll take you there live once that begins on our News Now YouTube channel. But what they're doing here, we have ATU bus drivers that have been on strike since Friday. This is day 5 of the strike. It's all because they're waiting on negotiations for a better contract with TransDev, which is a private-owned company that the city of Phoenix has hired to run the buses. So a lot of issues that they are trying to work out. Some of them include bereavement leave and bathroom issues. And we're also told that the people who have been on strike did get their health care and 401k taken away from them. So we are still trying to figure out if that is in fact true and get a little more details on that. But again, this press conference is going to start, looks like, in just a couple of minutes. So we'll carry it live on our News Now YouTube channel. We'll keep you updated, guys. Back to you. All right, thanks. So is that it, or do you want another one? Okay, so we're done with the show? Okay.
Give me a second here. Can you hook me up here? Yeah.
Yes, I'm going to just sort of start it out.
Keep moving on this side, though. I know it's a little hard, but this is the left side, so you can move to the left, can't you?
Bus drivers are kind of like NASCAR drivers. And
Everybody has.
The veterans are telling me that's called military left.
Yeah, you're right.
That's right.
We're here because the veterans aren't getting their health care. You know what I mean? Because we heard they're not giving them insurance anymore. I ain't going to cut it.
You guys ready to get started?
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Hi, Brennan. How are you? Hi.
Hey, it's been a long time. Oh, hi, Hugh. How you doing? Good to see you.
Everybody ready?
Guys are deep today, huh?
I
I'm a tall guy. I'm a tall guy.
You really want to try to handle it?
Oh, yeah. You guys are good.
Okay, so I think the first thing that we're going to do is, my name is Michael Cornelius, MichaelCornelius. I'm the financial secretary for the local, and I've been leading the negotiations since April. With us today, and I'm going to introduce a few people, is former mayor of Tempe, Hugh Hallman, who it's probably needs to be pointed out, did not actually want his name to be out there in the press. He actually came at this behind the scenes. He wanted to work with labor and the company to find solutions to what was going on, and his name got leaked, and that's how it's become public that he's been involved. So he didn't do this for political points. He was doing this to solve the contract and help us get a fair deal. Also with us today is Rebecca Friend, the state director of the AFL-CIO, who wants to introduce some other elected officials who are with us today. We have representatives of the American Legion, John Mandibles, and other veterans who have been standing up and essentially have, all of us standing behind you have taken the position that it's really, really, really upsetting that the employer cut off paid for medical for employees who were out on strike, medical premiums which were already paid. So with that, first I'm going to turn it over to Rebecca Friend so she can introduce some elected officials here, and then we'll turn it over to the local president, Bob Bean, and then the mayor, Hugh Hallman. So Rebecca, it's up to you.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. My name is Rebecca Friend, and I'm the Executive Director, Secretary Treasurer of the Arizona AFL-CIO, and I'm here representing 180,000 working men and women who are standing here in solidarity with ATU 1433 workers and their families. So first off, I want to say that. I'd like to let you know that what's going on is unacceptable and that all of labor is on this point and standing with ATU, and we will see a continuing escalation of these type of events until this issue is resolved with TransDev. As citizens and workers and taxpayers also, and union members and working families, we are tired of foreign national companies taking the public transportation hostage in two major cities, Tucson and Phoenix, and we're going to continue to work on that. I'd like to introduce, we have some elected leaders here, Representative Rich Andrade from the legislature, Representative Mark Cardenas is here, and they have taken time out of their busy schedule to come down and support the workers. Thank you very much. Michael?
I also maybe want to point out we have at the table since day one of bargaining International Vice President from Canada, Bob Hickaway, who's been helping the local and getting a contract, and I didn't point that out as we went. So should we start with Bob then? So let's get Bob Bean up here to talk about some of the real impacts of how this has affected the lives of our members and their ability to get cancer treatment, their ability to get medication. So we'll bring Bob up. And one person we just found out who also showed up is County Board of Supervisors Rep. Steve Gallardo, who's here somewhere. Here he is over here. And we're very, very, very happy to have a card-carrying union member, Steve Gallardo, to stand in solidarity with our workers. So we're happy to have him. And I'll turn it over to Bob Bean.
Good morning. I'm going to keep my comments fairly short this morning, but I do have 3, 4, or 5 of our operators here that have now been cut off from medical, and they're all going to take a turn to let you know exactly what they're going through and the effects that TransDev shutting down their medical after it's been prepaid for the month is having on them and their families. The first person I'm going to turn it over to is to my left here. This is operator Mike Hartman. Mike, come on up.
Come on up, Mike.
Yeah, Mike.
Yeah, we're due for our 9-month shots on little Bubba.
Arizona's future.
Yeah, we're just kind of hanging out, waiting for this next contract. So, but yeah, I'm gonna keep my comments short too. I don't like being in front of the camera, but yeah, we need some medical coverage. That's basically why we're here. So.
You need insurance for that little guy.
Yeah, we do.
Hey, buddy.
So right now, are you paying out of pocket at all? How big of a burden will this be for you if you have to go to the doctor or the hospital?
It'll be, out of just cash. I'm not making any money right now, so.
Yeah, he can't get to his 401k money if he had it.
Exactly.
But as a dad, is that difficult? Are you worried if something did happen
Of course.
that you wouldn't be able to provide?
Yeah, we're struggling, so. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, Mike.
Don Amadon.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Don Amadon, operator at TransDev, union member for ATU 1433. My daughter needed medication and went to the pharmacy to get it, and we were told that our insurance was cut off. And at this point, not making any money, we're having a hard time. We can't get that medication. This is obviously a union busting tactic by TransDev, a foreign national company, taking our federal tax dollars and not giving us our money's worth. That's all I have to say.
Can we get the spelling of your first and last name?
Don, D-O-N, Ameden, A-M-E-D-E-N.
Watch the slide this way, Don.
Okay, next I'll introduce operator Robert Cummings.
Good morning. My name's Robert Cummings. I was told by the pharmacist when I went to pick up my son's prescription, he takes 3 pills every day. He has for the past about 6 years. And I was told that on December 7th, the day that I was currently working...
January 7th.
January 7th, the day that I was currently working, that my benefits were cut off and we were not able to fill his prescription. It's $340. And I can't afford to do that.
I'd just like to point out that was January 7th. The vote had not finished taking place at that time.
We didn't announce it till after 10 o'clock at night, and the benefits were cut off before that. Shame on this company. Shame. Shame on them. Shame.
Thanks, Robert. And the last operator that we've got to talk to you is Gilbert Balderas.
Hello, my name's Gilbert Balderas. I suffer from multiple myeloma, which is a form of cancer. I take a chemo maintenance pill every day for the rest of my life. And I do a treatment of Zometa to help my bones from getting brittle. And I went to got to see my hematologist on Friday the Friday we went to strike. But since then haven't been able to see him. So I haven't been able to go in and have him look at my eye anymore because he says this is because of the low platelets in my body. I'm at 95% right now. So
He needs those eyes to drive a bus safely.
fortunately it hasn't affected my vision, but until I go see him, I don't know what I can do to clear it up. So it's just getting worse. But other than that, no prescriptions. I tried to get one last night, but it's about $554 that I can't pay out of my pocket. So it's just a matter of waiting game.
Thanks, Gilbert.
Thanks, Gilbert. Thanks. And there is one more operator, Coretta Taylor.
Hi, my name is Coretta Taylor. I had right knee surgery, a partial knee replacement on November the 13th, 2015. On November the 3rd, let me get it right. I was just informed I can't even do physical therapy because I don't have no insurance, and I can't pay $150 of each visit. And it's really sad that I'm trying to get well to get back to work. I've been off already 6 months. And I was hoping to return next month, but without physical therapy, I might be out a little longer than what I planned. Thank you.
Okay. You've heard from the operators. Now I will introduce Steve Gallardo. He's going to come up and say a few words.
Steve, thank you. Thank you. Let's real quickly. Let me introduce myself. Supervisor Steve Gallardo, Maricopa County Board of Supervisors, District 5, Southwest Maricopa County. Folks, you're hearing real stories of hard-working employees here in Phoenix that are struggling. Not only in Phoenix, throughout Maricopa County, who are struggling right now. And what we're here is to ask the city of Phoenix and this company to get back to the table. Let's negotiate fairly. Let's have a good contract for the people that are doing a very tough job. Let's encourage this company to do the right thing. We've already heard all the scare tactics. We've already seen all the different antics that have been done by this company to put a heavy hammer over these hard-working employees. It's time to stop that. It's time to come back to the table. Let's negotiate fairly. Let's have a decent contract for these workers to be able to get back on the job, be able to provide for their families. You saw a gentleman right now with a young child that's being affected because of this work stoppage. Let's get back to the negotiation table. Let's have a decent negotiation talk, and let's come up with a solution. Thank you.
ATU, 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 ATU.
Most of you, I think, in the press already know from at least Monday morning, if not before, I'm former Tempe Mayor Hugh Hallman. I went public on Monday morning because after quiet efforts to seek agreement between the company and the ATU, I discerned that the problem was not labor. I had not done this, as Michael, thank you for saying that, for publicity purposes. It was to try and get an agreement done quietly and effectively so that this city, this state, would no longer get black eyes from foolishness. It has brought moderate Democrat, liberal Democrat, a wonderful human being, but a Democrat, and a fiscally conservative Republican together on the same page. Now, how can that happen? I have to start with one question. It's in my background. And that is, can you name the only president of the United States who served as the president of a labor union? Ronald Reagan. I stand here in the shadow of Ronald Reagan, upholding the rights and the interests of the workers of this country, on which this country has been built. It is through their efforts and efforts of the men and women who labor with them that this country has become great. We have a company that is headquartered in France, a country that the men and women of this country helped liberate in World War II, taking advantage of the workers behind me. In 5 days of negotiations, the company has finally conceded one point, that indeed they would help us work together to find safer and cleaner restroom facilities for these drivers. Not that they would guarantee it, but that they would agree to do that. And they've also, last night, finally offered a financial concession. And I want to give them credit for that financial concession. In a $373 million contract, they've been able to find $80,000 a year to help their employees. I think that's unconscionable. They have said to the city of Phoenix that that's all they can find. In other words, when they signed their contract to go effective July 1st, 2015, to provide bus services to the citizens of the city of Phoenix and this valley for $373 million, that they had not yet entered a new contract with their labor force, but that apparently they thought they were going to protect their profits by taking it out of the hides of the men and women behind me and on picket lines and waiting to get back to work. These are residents of our valley. They pay taxes to the city of Phoenix, to the state of Arizona, and to the United States of America. And those tax dollars are flowing through to a company taking the profits back to France. $373 million, and all they could find was $80,000. So I'm asking on behalf of these fine men and women who want to get back to work. They do not want to disappoint their customers that they see every single day. They pick them up, they drop them off at their jobs. They pick them up and they drop them off at their doctor's appointments. And these laborers want to have the same chance those Phoenicians have in getting to go to the doctor and getting to get their medications to take care of their families and themselves. That's all they're asking for.
ATU! 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 ATU!
To use as a bargaining tactic the health and safety of these workers, their family members, and their children is to me unconscionable. I think it's cowardly.
Chicken shit.
It's cowardly to do that. We need the city of Phoenix's help. We've gotten help. I want to thank personally Council Members Sal DeCiccio, Bill Gates, Michael Nowakowski, and Laura Pastor for helping to get the company back to the table to negotiate. They're not putting their thumb on the scale on one side or the other. They just wanted these discussions to continue and be completed successfully. But now it's time to call on the city. We can't get this company to open its wallet even a little bit. $80,000 a year for 5 years isn't going to do it. So we're putting these folks' lives and the lives and interests of all of the citizens of the city of Phoenix in their hands. Help us get this done, because today we will be providing to the press the offer the union has been making. They are cutting their expectations down to help their employees. What we have is now two kinds of citizens who drive buses.
we have the first-class citizens, and we have the second-class citizens. 4 years ago, those second-class citizens were told that they would get less vacation, less pay, and less in retirement. We all ask our citizens to put money away for their retirement. I get that. But when you're making $28,000 a year and you have to choose between funding a 401k out of your own pocket or paying for your child's health care or clothing or housing, that's a pretty darn tough choice. We've asked this company to step up and re-agree to the kind of benefit of a retirement plan for those second-class drivers. But they're not asking for the world. Today we are offering that we can't fix this. We'll agree it's got to be fixed over time, fine. But the reason that occurred in the first place, that we created a two-tier system for employees, was because the economy was in the tank. There was not enough money to solve all the problems. Well, now the economy is not in the tank anymore. President Obama said last night how well this country is doing economically. Well, some people are still in the shadows. As the sun is coming out this morning on us today, on the eve of Martin Luther King Day, I have a dream that today we solve this problem for these workers. And we need the help of the city of Phoenix to do it. Bring this company back to the table with a little bit of money. We've asked, our entire request of this company is $2.5 million over 5 years. $500,000 a year, $2.5 million out of $373 million. You do the math. I have a dream today that we solve this strike for all of the citizens of this city, so that they can get to their doctor's appointments, so that they can get to their jobs. And these people want to get their children to their doctors, and they want to go back to work. Thank you for being here today.
One matter. What do we want? What do we want? What do we want? When we want it? Now!
Okay, this is one gentleman that just came up to me and said he's an actual passenger that counts on the buses, and he would like to speak to you.
My name is Armando Gomez, and I'm frustrated because I have a back problem and a heart problem, and because of this strike, I have to find other ways. I have lost appointments because of this. What you don't understand is that there's people like me. They're suffering. Sure. Not only they're suffering, but I'm suffering. And shame on you, because you know what? As a human being, you should care about what we feel. You should care about how we go, where we go. What happens if my heart stops just because of the strike? Don't think about yourselves. Think about us. And that's all I ask, is you know what? That you have compassion. Because of them, I get around. Because of them, I go to where I got to go to. And you have stopped that. And because of that, if something happens, I want to thank you. That you go ahead and do the right thing. Not for me, for my heart, for my back, so that I won't have to lose time or appointments because you don't want to agree with them. That's all I want to say.
What do we want? What do we want? Contract. When we want it? Now. What do we want? Contract. What do we want? Contract. When we want it? Now.
Okay, I've got John Mandibles, who is with the Veteran Affairs people here in town. He represents war vets and a few other factions, so I'll turn it over to him.
Good morning, everybody. My name is John Mandibles. I'm the Congressional 7th District Representative for the American Legion. I sit on the National Committee, a Commissioner for the American Legion on Employment and Education. I can only say this too. We have veterans here that don't have health care, and if you've been following what's been going on in Phoenix, health care is a very important issue to veterans across this nation. And we will not relent against our veterans who will go without, or even the public that we have served and died for. for this great country of ours. Veterans only ask that you recognize them and you respect them, because when they swear up or when they volunteer, they give 100% of their blood for your country, for your safety. So that's what needs to happen for these veterans right now that are going without health care. You need to recognize that the veterans, we've seen the worst, and we're not afraid to provide the worst either. Now, the city of Phoenix right here has a $25,000 fee or fund that they're getting from Transvet every day. We just passed and it started collecting a tax for transportation January 1st. $30 billion. Am I correct?
Yes.
That's coming from all of us, right? Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, so if that's the case and the city of Phoenix is gathering that money, where is that money going into this TransDev? Where is that money to provide adequate, everyday transportation for the individuals you see or for the Medicare for those individuals that are going out? Where is it? It's time to stop talking turkey, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to get on board. Because us veterans, we're not going to let you rest. We've seen the worst, and this is the greatest country because of veterans.
Yes, it is.
That's what it is.
Yes.
All right? So it's time for us, the city of Phoenix, and all those great people who have come on board with these negotiations to say, hey, either TransDev, you get on board, or we need to get another provider. And we need to do that best. So you know what, Phoenix, this is what we need to do, maybe even more. Maybe we need to take these individuals into the public theater and make them employees of Phoenix, straight on. This is the 5th largest city in the country. It's time for us to act like it. And that's what this is about. And you veterans, I salute you.
Thank you.
You strikers, I salute you.
Thank you.
And know that we'll have your back. Okay? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
What do we want? Contract. What do we want? Contract. What do we want? Contract.
Okay, our last speaker this morning will be the Reverend Jared Maupin.
Well, we all heard the president last night. Our country's getting stronger and our economy's stronger. And I think we're all standing here today to say that we will not negotiate, we will not be held hostage by economic terrorists. And that's what TransDev has engaged in, economic terrorism. When you cut off people's health care benefits, that's economic terrorism. Okay, when you refuse to cut into your excessive profit margin to provide a benefit for your employees, that's economic terrorism. Let me tell you the truth about these negotiations. Let me tell you why city council members and why our bargaining committee refused to be held hostage by these economic terrorists. We have already found the money that's needed to pay for what this union is asking for. Earlier in this year, when they were wrapping up other contracts, our bargaining committee found a health care plan that costs less than half of what the company had on the table. That's called health care cost savings. Now, any other industry, any other corporation, any other entity would be happy to share any kind of cost savings with their employees. In fact, the good people at City Hall do the same thing. If you find a cheaper paperclip, if you find a cheaper health care plan, if you find a cheaper way to get something done, they understand that it's good for the corporation's bottom line, but it's also good for the employees. Unfortunately, TransDev has had the attitude that it's all their money all the time, even if they didn't find it and couldn't find it if they had all day to find it. That's economic terrorism when you punish employees and refuse to allow them to share in cost savings, particularly health cost savings, that would fully fund everything that we're asking for. We don't need any new money from this company. We just need the money that the unions already saved them. Now, my friend John Mendibles is right. And Hugh, I think he's been spending too much time around Negro Baptist preachers. But we do have a dream. And one day, these people that are gathered here will be employed by a regional transit authority for this county. Yeah. This will be the 7th strike in 5 years dealing with this company. If you need proof that privatizing public services doesn't work, you need look no further than our experience with TransDev here in the city of Phoenix. How many more times are we going to allow our cities, our taxpayers, our unions, our hardworking people, our students Those of us that believe in public transit, that are trying to have a healthier community, how long are we going to be held hostage by companies like Transdev? How long are we going to be held hostage by people like their professional union buster, Tom Hawk, who's responsible for the death of 2 people in the negotiations in the Bay Area Rapid Transit? This is a company that has administrators that are notorious from one side of this country to the other for terrorizing communities, for restricting health care benefits, and for coming in to communities that have strong labor unions and breaking them up, because union solidarity means a living wage, good health care benefits, and hope for working families. It's time for us to call them on the carpet for what they are, excessive contractors. This is a bad contractor. Not only can the city of Phoenix implement a $25,000 a day fine against this company, they also need to start calculating their liquidated damages. Last time Transdev did this, they ran up a multi-million-dollar tab. If they continue with this behavior through fines and liquidated damages, they're going to end up owing us, the taxpayers, more than they ever would have had to put on the table to solve these union issues. They're going to be hurt by their own greed. So I'm hoping we can return back to the table. Day in and day out, this bargaining committee has sat and we waited patiently, and we've offered proposal after proposal trying to get these folks to the table. We waited while they flew around the country. We waited while they huddled in their offices. We waited. We've been called names. We've been run down. We've been cursed at. We've been ignored. What we haven't had is a substantive proposal from Transdev to end this strike and make sure that they can do what they promised to do, which is fulfill this contract and provide transit services to the city of Phoenix. Now, we believe that they can do it. We just don't believe that they're the person that should do it. So I hope that our city has learned from this experience, and we've got all the folks at the table that we need to get this done. A city of Democrats, a strong county voice, that's a Democrat, Democrat voices in the legislature, and reasonable Republicans from around the valley who I think can put their hands together, their minds together, their hearts together, and come up with a regional transit authority so that these guys can enjoy and these gals can enjoy the same protections and benefits and respect on the job that firefighters, that police officers, and that other people who work in public service sectors appreciate every day. They deserve it. They deserve it. So that's pretty much it. We'll take any questions that you have.
I have a question. Has anyone, can they speak to the fact of what actually takes place when every day we hear both sides are going back to the table to negotiate at 10 a.m. and then the next day it's both sides are going back to the table at 10 a.m. What's actually happening when we're being told that? What are those discussions like? Is there a discussion? Can anyone speak to the fact that they sat in on one of these meetings?
Michael Cornelius, who is the Secretary Treasurer of the local, will give you a sense of how those day goes. But I asked you the question, you do the math. Well, I'll do it for you very quickly. What we're asking for is for $500,000 a year out of $75 million that this company gets every year from the city of Phoenix. Here's the math. What's that equal? It equals 0.0006%. That's how small the number is here that could solve this strike. This is what happens on a daily basis.
Let me just start by saying we don't accuse Tom Hawk of causing 2 people to die in the BART situation. So we need to make sure we don't get sued by Tom Hawk here. But he caused a strike in BART. They ran scab labor and 2 people died. And that's a strategy. Something else I want to make sure it's clear is this isn't the last one this year. For most people who don't realize, in 6 months, the RPTA contract opens up again, and that may or may not lead to a strike. It's another foreign corporation. Then at the end of the year, 2 more Transdev contracts come open. So this year alone, there are 3 more contracts that could result in 3 more strikes after this one. And to answer your question, what happens is we go to the table, the union presents language at the table that we've had 9 issues that were not related to, there was 8 issues that were not related to this tiering structure. And we went to the table, we presented language on all 8 of those issues, and we've dwindled it down now to just a couple. But when we present language, we sit down at 9 o'clock, the justice and the mediator comes in, we explain to them what we think that what we've done fixes what TransDev says they want. For example, their language for safety equipment was very broad, it was hard to understand, it was hard to interpret, and it had an open blank check to discipline. So we asked them, what is it that you're looking for? Because it doesn't read what you're telling us. You're telling us they want drivers to wear a safety vest. And so the mediators go down and they say, well, what exactly it is that you're looking for? They come up and they say the company wants a safety vest. So then we put language in the offer from us that says safety vest, and the company rejects it. So they tell us what they want, we propose language to give them what they want, and then they reject what they told us that they want. And what happens is we present them this language, and they go to lunch. In one instance, they flew out of town. And we sit all day and wait for them to come back. Then they come back and they say, oh, no, we can't do that. So then now everybody's tired. Everybody's at the end of the day. Everybody's tired of sitting around waiting, and we have to go another day. And that feeds right into my argument that the city is using this to leverage, not the city, the company is using this to leverage the city for more money. That's when we think that we have found it. So that's sort of how it goes. We continue to counter ourselves because it's hard to negotiate when one side of the table just says no again and again and again.
Let me give you a very clear example of one day's work. Of these 8 issues, one example, and you think I'm making fun of this, but this is the serious example. We asked that, and we put in a sentence that said that the company and the operators will regularly go to the city of Phoenix to seek to address safety and cleanliness of restrooms. That's it. You think about that sentence. An entire day's conversation over that sentence, and at the end of the day, first it was no for 3 days, and then at the end of the day, it was finally agreed that they would accept a sentence that said the company and the operators will work together to seek to address safety and cleanliness of restrooms. That took 3 days of talks and an entire day. That's why this is so slow. We have asked repeatedly to move this kind of stuff forward quickly, but when somebody takes a day to agree to that sentence, it tells me, as someone who does negotiating for a living, that this is not a group of people trying to get a deal done quickly. So what I fear, as you can do this math, when they offered $80,000 a year to improve this contract last night, the savings this company likely has gotten from not having to pay its workers for 6 days or pay for their health care for 6 days is more than the amount of money they just offered. That's nuts.
You said there were 9 sticking points on Monday. Where are we now? I know we've made some progress.
We have made
Okay, where do I have to be?
Right here, we're on.
Hey there.
All right, guys, we have to quickly transition out of that. Our control room needs to use different satellites to bring different things in, and they're switching to a live shot for the morning show. So that wraps up our coverage of that bus strike. Joining me is Richard Morris. He was watching that bus strike.
I was into it. It was pretty intense.
It was
I'm
so
kind of bummed we cut away.
Intense. My favorite part was the I Have a Dream moment.
Yeah, that guy's passionate.
He was very passionate.
Yeah.
Now I've named him the I Have a Dream guy.
Yeah, he'd make for a great trainer, actually.
Speaking of, you're an expert in that and personal training. Why would he make a good personal trainer?
Just passion. He's motivated all those bus drivers, you know. And
so he's the kind of guy that can run a marathon.
Yeah, just redirect that passion elsewhere.
Right. So viewers out there in the chat room, if you have any questions related to fitness, nutrition, doesn't necessarily have to do with this weekend's marathon. Richard is here to answer your questions. I'm here eating my healthy kashi bar in front of Richard to impress him. 6 grams of protein, 4 grams of dietary fiber, 7 grams of sugar. This is, I mean, what do I need to eat before a workout, for example? So yesterday, I was really hungry when I got home, but I knew I had to go on the elliptical in order to watch the State of the Union. That was like my deal with myself. So I got home and I didn't know what I should eat before. I was like, should I eat yogurt? Should I eat string cheese? I opted for one of the cutie orange clementines, but
Okay. So
what am I supposed to, is that wrong?
Well, no, actually that was great. There's a couple things you can have before your workout, and actually it's a lot more open options pre-workout. Number one is a protein. Remember, every tissue in the body is made up of protein, so we've got to have at least 20 grams of protein before we go hit a workout.
Right before the workout.
Yes, within about an hour.
But isn't it relative to like your body size? Like, wouldn't you need more protein than me?
You got it. So 20 grams for the average Joe. Like I might do 30 grams. Someone your size maybe like 15 to 20 grams.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Apple Snapple wants to know how many marathons you've run.
One. And I can't even classify it as a marathon, rather a half marathon, but I've coached a lot of runners.
Okay, so you've encouraged a lot of runners. What are the motivations that get people to come to you to run? Do they tell you some like story about how they had an epiphany and they're like, I have to hit the marathon now? Because you guys know Mike is running the half marathon this weekend. I mean, what kind of things get people to finally just say, you know what, this is the year?
Yeah, well, everyone that I work with, I have them establish a SMART goal, which is something that's specific, it's measurable, attainable, it's relevant to them, and there's a time frame to it. And so usually there's like an event they're shooting for that they want to get healthy for, rather than just saying, hey, I want to get healthier, I want to lose weight. I'm working with them on, why do you want to do that? And oftentimes, well, I want to do an event. I've always wanted to run a marathon or do a triathlon. So that will come up. And then it's just the perfect event, the perfect thing to keep their motivation sparked for, 6, 12 months and get them ready for that big moment.
Whoa, you're saying people train for like 6 to 12 months for this thing?
Well, not necessarily. Usually the training regimens are about 4 months long. So 16-week regimen is typical for a marathon, or I should say a half marathon. But if it's your first time, let's say you're 50, 100 pounds overweight, like it's definitely like a year-long journey.
I can't even run like a quarter of a mile. I'm not kidding. I know that sounds terrible. Like maybe I don't run at all.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of running myself, and that's why I know I've got to do it, right? Because there's like these things where we recognize weaknesses and areas where we're held back in life, and running's one of mine too. So I'm with you. But yeah,
but you still do it though.
Yeah, and in fact, I knew just going on today, I'm like, man, I gotta. It's been probably 2-3 weeks since I've done any running at all, so I went out and ran about 3 miles.
But
last
I'm
night.
Assuming you exercise on a daily basis.
No.
What?
Yeah. Let's get real here.
What kind of fitness expert are you?
Yeah, like it's all about balance, right? And oftentimes we see people who like just go gung ho and they're exercising every day for an hour. It's kind of a recipe for disaster. It's not that it's a bad thing or anything like that, but willpower is a muscle. And over time, that muscle fatigues. And so I definitely suggest balancing it out. I personally work out 4 days a week, and my workouts are no more than an hour. I might throw a hike in every now and again, but it's all about balance.
Let's see what the viewers are saying in the chat room. Lakers fan, question for Richard. When did you first start running? What's the hardest part of doing a marathon?
I can't even remember the first time I started running. I've always just kind of ran. And actually,
I guess when you're like 4 or 5 years old, you love running, right?
Yeah. It's like there's no pressure on the joints, but like just my body mechanics. When I run, I get shin splints. My calves are big, and so it kind of throws my shins off.
So you're saying certain body types just aren't made for running?
Yeah, definitely. The biomechanics of the body. I go back to high school and having to run that canal every day, and I just dreaded it. I truly hated running, and it wasn't because my oxygen wasn't up to par. It was just I had shin splints. But yeah, for me it started a long time ago, but I've never loved it.
And it's okay to not love it.
Yeah, and that's actually one of the reasons why sometimes we should do it. Not that we should do things that we don't like doing, but like sometimes we got to find out, what is that thing that pushes me? What do I need to do to overcome this weakness in my life? And when we do things that we don't necessarily love, but that are good for us, like it helps us to build up that confidence and like see a result, and that result is what makes us happy.
It's like eating really, really healthy. You might not like the taste of the thing you're eating. You might not like kale without any sort of like stress, but you have to do it.
Yeah, and eating's a little bit different for me. I definitely suggest not eating stuff that you don't enjoy. I'm a big fan of like eating foods that you love, because if you do that, you're likely to stick with it.
So find a way to make healthy food that tastes good.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Rachel in the chat room saying, I was told to stop drinking coffee to revamp my natural energy because I can drink 12 cups and still take a nap. Is fully stopping caffeine okay?
Okay, well, have you ever tried this, Rachel? Have you tried going off caffeine? Because it's definitely a weaning process, right? If you go from 12, did you say 12 cups? Is that right?
I said 12 cups because
Okay.
the fact that she says I can drink 12 cups and still take a nap means that she's
Yeah.
done that.
Likely you have some adrenal issues going on, or some, some areas, where there's some fatigue in the adrenal glands, kidneys. But like, I would wean off of it. I wouldn't go from 12 cups to nothing. I would go from maybe 12 cups to 6 cups, or if you're doing 2 cups, go down to 1 and kind of wean off. But yeah, there is definitely a place for maybe taking a break from that and giving just the thyroid, the adrenal glands a chance to take a little breather from the extra caffeination, if that's even a word.
I know, it's like, is caffeineaholic a word? I think that
but
Rachel would fall under that category.
With coffee, like, you've seen probably some of the health benefits of the coffee bean. But over time, like day after day after day of having that constant need for stimulation, it just creates a dependency on the body, right? I mean, take out your coffee for 1 or 2 days and it feels like you just took your drug away, right? It's just like the addiction is real at that point. So I suggest just like taking it easy, never going crazy with it.
Got it. AL has a question. Do I need protein even when running on the treadmill? I usually run about 35 minutes, like protein as your pre-meal workout meal.
Yes, like remember, an hour before any semi-aggressive activity, whether you're on a treadmill, you're working out with weights, you're doing yoga even, you've got to put some protein in the body. Because remember, every tissue is made up of protein.
Even like a piece of string cheese or something.
Yes, and it doesn't need to be a ton. Like I mentioned 20 grams, but don't freak out about that. It doesn't have to be meat. It doesn't have to be a protein shake, but just something simple. It could be some
peanut
nuts.
butter?
It could be, well, peanut butter and nuts, they have protein in them, but they're more fat-based. So just keep that in mind. A lot of people say, oh yeah, I had my protein because I had my 10 almonds or I had my scoop of peanut butter. There is some protein there and it's okay, but there are other options that are more powerful. But to answer your question, definitely strive to have protein about an hour before, and then exactly or within 30 minutes after the workout. So you just got to sandwich your workouts with protein, but don't forget too that carbs are essential. It's not just about protein. Like, you want to balance that with about half carbohydrates.
And then where does fruit fall into this? Because I ate fruit before yesterday's workout.
Yeah. I think it falls in just perfectly.
But I should have had protein with the fruit, is what you're saying.
Yes, that's the thing too, is never have carbs by themselves, even fruit. Because when you have a carbohydrate by itself, the blood sugar rises, and then insulin and cortisol release, and those are fat hormones. And if there's not a protein to kind of act as a ceiling or a buffer for that spike in blood sugar, then the blood sugar keeps rising, and too much insulin, too much cortisol is released, and then we actually store excess belly fat. And so having that protein every time you eat, even with a healthy carbohydrate, like a piece of fruit, is so crucial. And I know when people are on diets too, because I see, just fruit coming in, and where are we at? Are we scooting away?
No, it's closer. You're getting out of the frame.
Oh, shoot.
There we
Okay.
go. Perfect.
Yes, so having a protein with that fruit is really important. The only time I suggest not having fruit is at nighttime. So when the sun goes down, the carbs should go down. The fruit should come out. Have fruit earlier in the day.
Alfredo says, I don't think it's ever safe to just stop. I think he's responding to Rachel. Except alcohol. Decrease your use slowly so you don't shock yourself.
Yeah, there you go, Alfredo. I like it.
Same with eating habits. Slowly decrease the bad and then work in the good.
Yeah,
Alfredo has some good advice.
Alfredo, you're my man. So let's have a good conversation here. Like, that is my thing. That anytime we do something drastically, it often is a recipe for just kind of breaking down over time.
Right.
It needs to be like a gradual thing, and I call them power promises. We should set one power promise at a time. Oftentimes, especially at the beginning of the year, when all these New Year's resolutions are being kicked off, it's like, hey, let's do everything at once. I'm gonna work out an hour a day. I'm gonna eat perfectly, and I'm gonna cut out my coffee, my soda, whatever it is.
It's so unrealistic.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just torturing yourself.
Yeah, and you just look at the statistics. Literally a necessity in any health journey.
Right.
And I recommend making sure that you work into it, like we mentioned, that one
build
power
up,
promise.
build up. Yeah. All Black Furby, is there no way to fix shin splints? That's my problem.
Okay. Who was it? All Black Furby. Okay, I love the name.
You have some great names in the
yes,
chat room.
and you even have a Furby for your little icon.
And he's all black.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. So as far as the shin splints go, the best thing that I've noticed, 2 things. Number 1 is stretching your calves out. So calves have a lot to do with shin splints. And number 2 was my foot strike. So when I foot strike and I'm doing heel toe, that's going to cause, okay,
up here,
so here's my heel. Or do I just need to put my foot up here? Is that
You
gonna
can.
help?
You know
So
what?
Yeah, we do a heel toe strike. That was what I was doing, and I learned from a running expert that, hey, no, you want to strike on the ball of your foot. Okay. And when I do that, it feels super awkward, but my shin splints immediately eliminate.
So you want to, okay. Interesting.
Are you with me?
I am. Lakers fan is talking about his Starbucks spiced pumpkin latte addiction. Well, good thing that's seasonal.
Yeah.
So you are automatically weaned off of it by default. Starbucks forces you to let go of your addiction, so that's good.
There you go. Yeah.
Green Corps, we are disgusting beings, Richard. We will have a donut with each of these coffees.
Okay, now here's the deal. Remember my rule, right? So going back to that donut thing, if you're gonna have a donut, what should you have with it? Because donut's a carb, right?
Milk. It has protein. Yesterday, that's what I did. We had a platter of cookies, and so I went into our market. I bought our bottle of milk. I was like, this has more than 10 grams of protein. I can eat this cookie.
Okay. And you know what? I've got to give you some kudos because I know that you didn't have to, you didn't have to have that milk, and so I got to recognize your
There
effort.
were other people in this newsroom who ate that cookie without any milk.
Yeah, and can I just tell you, and I work with a lot of health freaks, and one of the biggest secrets is always having a little protein shake with you.
Right.
And so when it's okay, there's the donuts. All right, I'm gonna have a donut, but what I'm gonna do first, right before I pound that donut, is I'm gonna have a quick protein shake. And what that'll do is stimulate the hunger it will subside the hunger cravings, and it will keep your blood sugar stable when you have that donut.
Right.
Not giving you a free ticket to have all the donuts that you want. I just suggest
everything in moderation. I think
throwing a protein in before.
Ale's joking. Rachel, limit yourself to 11 coffees instead of 12.
There you go. Step by step.
I just had a donut now, having a banana. Apple Snapple, sharing that. Tessa's saying yoga is more of a workout than people realize. Absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, and that's why I suggested protein even before yoga. I started doing yoga about a year and a half ago, and mad respect. That's all I gotta say. Intense, yeah.
I just skipped a question, but I remember. I don't remember who said it. What's the best workout for people on a budget? I think was the question.
Best workout or best nutrition plan?
No, it was workout.
Yeah. So if you're
I guess you can answer both.
Yeah. That's a really great question.
Ginger Red, best fitness watch. Sorry, best fitness watch. That has nothing to do with what I'm talking about.
The best fitness watch for someone on a budget, the Fitbit is awesome. Yeah.
But I guess I can answer my question now. How do people stay fit on a budget? Because that's such an important thing to take into account. Not everyone can afford everything organic, and lots of things are when you go out to eat, it's usually the healthier things that cost more. What is your advice for people?
Yeah.
Just go out and buy your own vegetables and fruit and make it yourself and buy your own meat?
Well, here's the thing: is my bread and butter, the people that I work most with are folks on a budget. It's not like I'm just working with these high-end people, because we do our program through health insurance. And so we have a lot of access and government types of plans. And so we have to work around budgets. And it's really shocking to see what you can do out there on a budget. The first thing is, if you would like, you can actually go on my social media, or you can email me. Can I give my email real quick?
Yeah.
Okay, so email me. It's richard@powellmetabolics.com. Can you type that somewhere so someone knows?
Yeah. Well, I'll put it in the description.
Okay. And if you email me, I will email you my Eating on a Budget presentation. It's a PowerPoint presentation, and organic's great, right? If we could eat organic and get the chemicals out of our food, awesome. But look, that's not the primary goal for someone who's just trying to get started. It can be discouraging. It's oh my gosh, this is expensive. But you can eat super, super healthy, exactly how I eat and how a lot of people who are really healthy eaters, for under $5 a day. And I want to show you how to do that. So email me if you guys want to get that information.
What is it?
It's Richard@Powell, Powell, Metabolics, METABOLICS.com. And if you email me within 24 to 48 hours, I will shoot you back my presentation, and it's awesome. It shows you breakdown by breakdown different meal options and how you can get it for under $5 a day.
Okay, I want to make sure we get a couple more questions, and I know you have to leave in a couple minutes. Let's see. Hello, I always eat a banana and string cheese for breakfast. Don't know if it's healthy, but I eat it anyway. Ale asking, Richard, do you personally enjoy a beer every once in a while to reward yourself? If so, what's your go-to?
I personally don't drink alcohol, but I will, have what I call a reset meal, and something that I suggest about when you have the treats, or people call them cheat meals or cheat snacks. Don't call them cheat. Don't call them rewards. Call them a reset, because they are actually necessary, not just for the physical, but for the mental component of living a healthy lifestyle. You need to reset the body, reset the kind of the mental commitment by having a
something
treat
that you enjoy.
Yes.
whatever it may be, whether
Mhm.
it's a chocolate cake
Mhm.
or a beer for ale.
Yeah. So if beer's your thing, go for it. But plan it out. And that's something I was talking to you about earlier, right? Is make sure you plan it out so it's not just like on a whim. Okay, I'm going to do this or that. Like have it agendaed into your schedule. But I suggest at least 3 resets every week.
Tess saying exercise is easy on a budget. I use YouTube to find yoga and workout routines. Groceries are where it gets hard. Good perspective, Tess.
Mhm.
Rob saying great info, Richard. Mexican American saying God bless you, Richard.
Mexican American, thank you.
777.
God bless you as well.
And Alex Anderson, I think this might be our final question so we can wrap things up. What's the best morning start for the day?
For food or for? Okay.
Best way to start your morning.
So first thing you're going to do when you start your morning, I call it a shock jog or a shock workout, and for 5 to 10 minutes at least. So shoot for minimum 5 minutes, and you can go longer. But go out right when you wake up and just do something to stimulate your body.
You can even do it in your house, right?
Yes, I did this morning. I knew I was going to the news. I woke up and it was just like, okay, it was early, and so I just went into my front room and I did 40 burpees. So I did 20, took a little breather, did 20 more.
And you're saying do this as soon as you wake up. Don't lounge in bed for
No.
like an hour.
Yes, within 5 minutes of waking up, if you go out for a jog, great. But that's the first thing. It stimulates the central nervous system. If we have nerves about the day, if we're a little stressed about something, it calms all of that down. It gets our blood flowing, and my personal favorite, it gets the bowels moving. Okay, and that can be a big issue for some folks. Yeah, let's get real here. Like everybody's got an issue, with that every now and again. So it's real. The struggle's there. So I always start every day with that, and just the blood flowing, the nerves get triggered, everything's going. That is so key. And then right after that, within 30 minutes of waking up, you should be having your breakfast. And the breakfast needs to have a carbohydrate. So one of my favorite breakfast carbohydrates is oatmeal. If you saw that segment I just did a few minutes ago, oatmeal. I actually ate it all.
No, I was looking for my oatmeal.
Oh.
I keep the protein-enriched oatmeal packets in my drawer, and I was supposed to make it this morning, but I was late doing my makeup, so.
Yeah, and I got to watch her doing your makeup. And by the way, you got a lash coming up right there.
It's okay, they can't.
Yeah,
They
they're
don't
looking
see the
straight
sides
on.
of my
Yeah.
face.
Yeah, I have the pleasure to see your
You
faults.
guys.
Yeah, but so the carb-based breakfast, so it should be right around 30 grams of carbs, depending on your activity level, depending on the size of your body, but about 30 grams of carbs and about 20 grams of protein.
And one more thing, Tess saying, shouldn't we drink some water first when we wake up, or should we wait till after?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Like and this is actually, I love that you brought that up, Tess. Right when I wake up, I drink at least 16 up to 32 ounces right away, and that helps to flush the system. It gets everything going along with that shock workout that I talked about. And so talk about getting the bowels moving. You'll be ready to rock and roll. Well, there's something about poop on here that I wanted to mention.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
I poop as soon as I roll out of
Tess.
bed. No problems
Thanks,
there.
Tess.
Hey, let's get real. I love it. This has been fun.
I'm so glad that you
let's
came.
do this again.
Yeah, I'll give you my contact.
Okay.
And then, or you can coordinate with the desk or Jen or whoever. And we can always talk fitness. Maybe we can check in a month from now and figure out, let's see, have I committed to my fitness goals?
Yeah, what are your fitness goals?
It's really just eat healthy during every one of my lunch breaks here at work.
Okay.
Because I tend to not have time to bring in stuff. And as long as I just force myself to go somewhere healthy, I know I'm getting vegetables in, or
Okay, so I have a question for you before we end. Is that a SMART goal? So
think
is it specific? Eat healthy on every lunch break.
Yes.
Okay. Is it measurable?
Measurable in the sense that it's every day.
Did you do it or not, right?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So you're measuring, did I have something healthy at lunch?
Yeah.
Is it attainable?
Yeah,
Okay.
easy.
Is it relevant for you?
Yes.
Okay. And then finally, is it timely? So how long are you planning on doing that?
Well, I want to make this a regular thing, because the thing is, I know at home, at the end of the day, I can indulge in something that's not that great, but at least during my lunch break,
Mm-hmm.
I know I have to eat. So right now it's been a lot of just either veggie burrito bowls from Chipotle but made super healthy, or going to Grab a Green and getting some protein mix of, yesterday I had shrimp and spinach and all of that, or going to Payway and getting their ahi tuna bowl.
Yeah.
So I'm committed right now, but I feel eventually I'm going to get sick of those 3 options.
Well, and you need to mix it up. So that's why we always need to throw a new SMART goal in there, like a power promise every now and again. So you stick with that the best that you can.
Yeah.
And when you're ready, add another one. And it keeps things fresh. But I love it. It is a SMART goal. You're spot on.
And I always check in with Mike.
Okay, where's Mike?
Mike's right there. Mike
All right.
knows.
Mike, you keep her on track, all right?
Yeah. He's all.
Yeah, Mike's fit.
Yeah, he's running this weekend.
Oh, are you? Okay, awesome, man.
Yeah, Mike
Good luck to you, brother.
Mike's doing the half marathon. Rachel says, come back soon, Richard. Thank you. Ale, St. Samia, we need Richard Morris soon. So everyone really appreciated you being here. Thank you so much.
Yes, it was awesome, you guys. Thanks for all your awesome questions. There's a lot of motivation out there, and just the energy of doing this gets people who aren't really inspired or kind of lacking motivation going. Like, it's not me, it's the community out there. And so we see the community at large are really involved in this process, and I guarantee someone out there today who's kind of sitting around not really motivated has gotten something from this. Again, not from me, but from their fellow community members.
Yes.
It's so fun.
So yeah, we'll have you back soon. And
Can I mention
you
something? So we have a nonprofit foundation.
Okay.
It's called BEST, and if you go to bybf.org, in
bybf.org.
We do free workouts in the community, just from random places. You should check our calendar.
Oh my gosh.
We do free Spark meetings, and these meetings are held about every 2 weeks, where you have behavioral health specialists that talks about the connection with food, mind, and body, and all that. And they're totally free. And then once every quarter, this is a special event, we do a weekend workshop. And the weekend workshop is going to be held, I believe it's in Mesa this time. And you come for a Friday afternoon or Friday evening for a few hours, and all day Saturday we teach you how to shop, how to eat healthy, how to prepare your meals, and really just have a powerful community that surrounds you. So go check out the bybf.org. It's totally free to register for the workshop. Join us in our free workouts, and we're just creating more of this community impact to really support people out there who need help, especially those who need help but can't afford it, or just want to help those who need help but can't afford it.
That's amazing.
And so it's a really great organization we started a few years ago, and there'll be some fun surprise guests there. So come and really enjoy
Surprise
an
guest?
awesome.
What does that mean?
You'll have to come and see.
Can I be the
Yes.
surprise guest?
Yes. Hey.
There's Ron Hoon.
Yeah.
Speaking of Mesa, Ron, you ready to talk State of the Union in a minute?
Oh, I'm going to run out for a couple of minutes.
Oh, no.
You and Richard are having such a
Well,
great
Richard
time.
has to go.
What?
It's time. It's time to go.
We have to swap
All my bags
people
are
from
packed,
Mesa.
and I'm ready to
from
go.
one guy
Yes.
I know.
to another.
It's my other Masonite.
Correct.
You're in Mesa, right, Ron?
I'm a Masonite.
Look
But
at the
that's
camera on that
also
pretty
a
face.
building product.
A building
Masonite.
product.
you
Oh,
know.
okay.
So,
so what do we call ourselves then? A masonries?
Masonarians.
A Masonarians?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really like Mesa.
We can just go with studs. Is that good? I mean, look at this guy.
Look, they love Ron.
Okay, well then, oh yeah.
State of the Union. We haven't even talked about it. So, Ale saying, Richard, don't go, bud. You can find him. You can find him on the internet. You have his email address, and we'll bring him back again. I promise, guys.
Let's do this again for sure.
You guys love him. All right. While I prepare for the State of the Union chat with Ron, let's go listen to Marco Rubio. Bye, guys.
So your employees. So now we have an economy being undermined by the federal government, and it's not creating good-paying jobs. Wages are flat in this country and have been. 2/3 of Americans find that their home is still worth less than it was 10 or 15 years ago. It's outrageous. We have a president that's waging all-out combat on the Constitution. He doesn't believe in the Constitution the way you and I do. He believes the Constitution is a living and a breathing document. And so this is why he has this all-out assault, for example, on the Second Amendment. I mean, it's non-stop on the Second Amendment, going after religious liberties. We have a president that doesn't view America as a great global power. He views us as an arrogant global power that needed to be cut down to size. And that's how you get a foreign policy where you cut deals with your enemies and you betray your allies like Israel and you cut your military and gut it the way he's doing now, and you have a president that goes around apologizing for America on 10 separate occasions. That's how you win a Nobel Peace Prize 3 months into office, is you go around apologizing for America. And the result is what people are feeling. Yeah, you know, people are frustrated. They are upset. And I hear it everywhere I go. We don't recognize our own country anymore. We're being left behind. We feel out of place. And it's all the direct result of this agenda Barack Obama has pursued. And that's why this election is so important. And what's interesting to me is the people that come forward and say, well, you know, we've got, in this election, you got to wait your turn. You shouldn't be running now as other people that have been around a longer period of time. Let them run first. This is no time for patience. After 7 years of Barack Obama, we don't get this election right. We may not be able to turn this around. When I'm president, we're going to turn this around again. You're going to have a president that knows why people are frustrated. Okay, for example, I can't wait to see how Hillary Clinton's going to lecture me about people living paycheck to paycheck. Since I grew up paycheck to paycheck, and Jeanette and I have lived paycheck to paycheck. And many of the people we love in our family still do. I want to know how she's going to lecture me on student loans. I had a student loan, which I was able to pay off with the proceeds of a book I wrote, An American Son. Now available on paperback. I want to know how she's going to lecture me about how hard it is to raise a family in the 21st century, as many people are finding out. Jeanette and I are raising 4 children in the 21st century. And every single day we have to work harder than ever to ensure that our children grow up with the values that we want to teach them, that we teach in my church. Not the values they try to ram down our throat in movies and music, in the popular culture, in the media. Our president has to be someone that understands all of this because they've lived it, and I have, and I do. But that alone will not be enough. Electing someone who is upset alone will not be enough. You also have to elect someone that knows exactly what they're going to do. Knowing exactly what they're going to do. And this is a good segue to say, I was very proud last night to see the governor of this great state give the State of the Union response. She did a great job. Here's what I was personally most impressed about. She did it without a single sip of water. Unbelievable. Really, really top notch. I know exactly what I'm going to do to turn this around when I'm president. First of all, it begins in my very first moments. I'm going to put my left hand on the Bible and my right hand in the air, and I'm going to swear to uphold the Constitution of the United States and defend it. Now, Barack Obama did the same thing, but here's the difference. I'm going to mean it. That means I'm going to have an attorney general. I'm going to have an attorney general that doesn't conspire with me to undermine the Second Amendment. I'm going to have an attorney general that defends the Second Amendment and defends the First Amendment and your religious liberty. And we're not appointing liberal judges when I'm president. We're going to appoint people that will apply the Constitution and interpret it as originally written, not manipulate it the way the Obama appointments have done. Then I'm going to get to the Oval Office, and I'm going to immediately get to work, and I'm doing the damage Barack Obama has done to America. Because on my very first moments in that Oval Office, I am going to repeal every single one of his unconstitutional executive orders. So, for example, all of these crazy rules the EPA comes up with, they are gone.
Joining me now is the one and only Ron Hoon.
Hello. Thank you, Samia.
Hooner.
Hooner. You don't call me Hooner every day. I like that.
I like to call you Ronald.
I know you do. Nobody else calls me Ronald here in the newsroom.
So I feel special. There you go.
Hello, everybody.
So this is really an exciting day. I feel like everything that was in my top 5 was politics related, except for one, which was football related, which you're already into. So,
right, politics and football. Let's talk about it.
Who else would I bring up here?
Well, I don't know.
Jeff Moriarty? No.
No.
Unless there's a tech element to it, but I guess you could talk about. I don't know.
Hi, Rachel, and thanks for the hearts. Ale Ben. Now, this is cool. I like it. Welcome to Hooner Village. We're in our own little virtual village, right? Is that word ever? That's a new word, right?
We've never referred to this area as a village.
But I don't think I've ever heard anybody use you're in a virtual village. It's you guys and the two of us. And you're from Phoenix, and you're from all around the world, and we love chatting with you. It's the coolest thing.
You guys are very cool. They were very active chatters when we had Richard up here, and I'm sure they'll be active when we talk about the State of the Union address, because I saw a lot of them talking about it already.
Oh, we got so much to talk about in politics. Let's go.
You know, what Obama said, this is his final address, and then obviously we need to talk about the GOP response. Nikki Haley trending nationwide on Twitter.
Yeah.
A couple other people trending nationwide on Twitter. We'll get to all the reasons different people were trending, guys.
Yeah.
But let's start with the State of the Union recap. Your thoughts. I assume you stayed awake for it, or did you just watch it this morning?
I just watched highlights this morning, but let me just stop because Mex American 777 says Ron is a classic man. Now that's good chatter in the chat box.
That's so funny.
So the headline grabber and really the most interesting part to me was his willingness to say that he fell short in terms of his ability to work with the opposing party, which, if you're a Democrat, you're going to look at it and you're going to say, well, the Republicans are the big problem here. And if you're a Republican, you're going to look at it and say, why was Obama so stubborn? I mean, it's just the way it is.
Yeah.
You know, we
He
look
said,
at it,
she said,
and we look
whatever.
at it from the outside, and we're like,
Everyone's at fault.
just get something done. I mean, otherwise, why are we paying your salaries? We send you back there, and nothing ever gets done. But a few things, you know, have gotten done. And as I so often like to say, Samia, if Ronald Reagan, still for many Republicans, maybe the most beloved president since Lincoln,
It seems like it.
and if Ronald Reagan and Tip O'Neill, who had an iron grip on the Democrats on Capitol Hill, could get together and figure out ways to compromise on stuff. I know compromise is a dirty word, but it is the way politics works. Otherwise, nothing ever does get done. So the fact that he was sort of willing to admit that he could have done a lot better, and particularly this is interesting, because you would think most people who serve as president think I am one of the greatest presidents ever. So when he referenced and he put himself in a whole different category below the top presidents by saying, I'm sure a Lincoln or an FDR could have done a lot better than me in terms of my willingness to get along with people. I thought that was pretty interesting. So, I mean, so it's a little note of conciliation, and the first words out of his mouth were basically that he was glad he was able to work with the speaker, Paul Ryan, on stuff, and maybe we can get some things done.
Right.
So, you know, let's be hopeful.
Yeah. One of my favorite things, I know it sounds so weird, but I kept paying attention. Obama got so many standing ovations yesterday. I don't know if that's typical of his State of the Union addresses, but there were like so many standing ovations. And I was just wondering what it would be like in that crowd to see how many people were doing the standing. Was it just all the Democrats? Or did Republicans give applause once in a while? Did they give a standing ovation? I did see John McCain stand and give him a standing ovation when Obama talked about how America needs to be the country that cures cancer.
That was cool.
Yeah.
Now, real quick, before it disappears, Adam makes a good point. Sometimes the constituents feel government should not act, and roadblocks and gridlock are good things. And that is definitely a valid point, because especially 2 years into the Obama presidency, the way the election swung so hard to the Republicans, were basically people saying, whoa, yeah, we put you in as president, but slow down.
Right.
And so Republicans are in there to, you know, stop some of that agenda. So I think that's a good point. Mm-hmm. Joe writes, how did Ron afford that expensive Rolex? Now, let me just tell you, because I've never had a watch. Can I actually hold it up closer so you guys can see it? I mean, I'm in my 50s. I've never had a watch that got so much chitter-chatter as this watch. Yesterday, the guy at Walmart, as I'm checking out, he's like, hey, I got one of those too. It's the coolest watch. And I'm telling you, I think it was a little over $100. Cool, it looks like $1,000 watch or something, and it was really a Christmas present from my wife. It's called Invicta. You know, she paid the full price for it, and I told her it was something I wanted, but I just never had a watch that gets that kind of reaction. I do.
So cute.
I know. So anyway, thank you, Tree. It is kind of a pretty watch. So back to our point. As far as the, let's see if something does happen. See, this is a good point here that he was making a minute ago. Sometimes the roadblocks are necessary because people feel like he's gone too far. Because you elect a guy, you're not quite sure what you're getting.
Right.
And if you love everything that's going on, the electorate will be like, okay, we'll keep the current, status quo. A lot of people said, hey, those first couple of years, not only did Obama rule in the White House, the Democrats had the House and the Senate, and could have gotten a lot more of these things done that then never did get done. And then it seemed weird after the election that Obama was like, well, now we want to get this done, and now we want to get, like immigration reform. A lot of immigration reform activists are like, why didn't you just do it back in those first couple of years? And it makes people a little skeptical and cynical that maybe it's more of a wedge issue. Because he certainly had the people in place who could have made something like that happen. But anyway.
We have a lot of clips as well, so if there's anything you want to reference, we can always...
Let's do the cancer soundbite. Do you want to? Do you have that one?
I assume that we have it scientific advancement one, is that it? I don't think any of them are named cancer one.
Okay.
So I could not tell you exactly.
Well, I just want to make
or
the point
healthcare.
that. Yeah. See, I don't know. It'll be a
We
fishing
can do opening
expedition.
remarks.
Yeah.
We could just play Lou Vader's package.
Okay, let's do that. But your whole point about who's going to stand up for what, the fact who can be against fighting cancer, and if the economy is improving, like the state of Arizona suddenly has a budget surplus now, the state of Arizona is not going to cure cancer. But if the United States government can put billions into it, and they do it in honor of Beau Biden, that's cool. And every Republican who, if it's not going to dramatically, lead us into financial straits, let's do it. I mean, honestly.
Half the time, speaking of Beau Biden, half the time I was watching Obama, I was watching Biden in the background.
Yeah,
to see him, and I was like, I'm just wondering if he's like just regretting. I mean, he already
said
he regrets
doesn't.
it every day, and I'm like, I just feel in this moment he's like, this could have been me.
I know.
I
don't get where he says it was the right decision.
I regret it every day.
Then he says I regret it every day, but still it was the right decision.
Morally, he knows it was the right decision for him and his family because campaigning is an intense thing to take. Maybe he could have done the campaigning, but then to put Jill through that, you know what I mean? Maybe it was just the overall greater picture. So
now, here's Adam who says how many billions are already spent fighting cancer. Throwing more taxpayer money is at the problem is not a cure.
I think it's not fighting cancer; it's curing cancer is what Obama wants.
Yeah. Well,
Biden
it's
was frowning so much. I didn't notice that.
Oh, I also thought Poker Face was Paul Ryan.
I thought Paul Ryan, but I think his resting face was kind of like pleasant.
Was it okay?
I felt like it was like a resting,
subtle
smile.
He
wasn't angry. He wasn't angry. I thought. I did pay attention to that as well.
Yeah.
Who else did I notice in the crowd? So I saw Kim Davis. I actually forgot. I took notes yesterday. How could I forget?
Gosh, yeah.
While I was on the exercise bike, I didn't have to use my hands. So I took my phone out to take notes. I was like, this is the thing. Rubio looked exhausted when they did a cutaway to Marco Rubio.
Oh,
he looked so tired, which makes sense.
Yeah, sure.
Because, they're campaigning nonstop. They probably flew in just for this. Then they have to go back to wherever they have to get to, which is something Obama commented on in his opening remarks. He was like, I'm not going to make this as long as the other ones. I know a lot of you guys are itching to get back to Iowa.
Iowa, which basically, actually, I think was only Rubio and Bernie Sanders.
Right.
Were the only two who were running who were actually in attendance last night.
Yeah.
And I have got to get you these poll numbers that are just coming in this morning because holy guacamole.
We will get to that in a minute.
All right.
So I noticed there was Kim Davis.
Yes.
Clerk in Kentucky, all that controversy, a small business owner, a Syrian refugee. Let's see. Obama bringing up the Pope. He brings up how he's like, you don't think I'm doing a good job on the war on terror? Why don't you ask Osama bin Laden about that? Or no, he was talking about fighting their enemies.
Okay.
If you need someone to talk to Osama bin Laden. It was some joke. It was pretty, I thought it was funny.
Well, do you want to play that side? There's War on Terror, right? It's like this third one down.
There, it could be in this clip.
Okay, let's do it.
Again.
I know you're going to be playing a lot today, and I know I've got just a few minutes to get you these poll numbers. So let's do this. Then I'll get you some of these really interesting new poll numbers.
Sounds good.
I think you'll be surprised who's most on the rise with the Republicans right now. Number of all these candidates, who is rising the fastest, and who is sinking the fastest. So it's coming right up. You ready to go? Still taking a minute?
It's still in black.
Okay.
There we go.
All right.
All right, guys, we're going to try replaying this clip for you because...
But the American people should know that with or without congressional action, ISIL will learn the same lessons as terrorists before them. If you doubt America's commitment, or mine, to see that justice is done, just ask Osama bin Laden. Ask the leader of al-Qaeda in Yemen, who was taken out last year, or the perpetrator of the Benghazi attacks, who sits in a prison cell. When you come after Americans, we go after you. And it may take time, but we have long memories, and our reach has no limits.
Well, we fixed those technical difficulties. That's good.
Good job,
We
SK.
did consult with Mr. Jeff, tech extraordinaire.
He solved it for us.
So you got the poll numbers.
I want you to just guess.
Okay.
Which Republican, this is the new numbers out today on favorability and unfavorability. First of all, who would you say has the highest unfavorables nationwide? All voters, Republicans, Democrats, etc. Who has the highest... Actually, I'm not sure if this is Republicans or all voters, but anyway,
I'm so
who has the highest unfavorability of all the Republican candidates? Top of your head.
Donald Trump?
Correct. Although that's been that way for a while. Now for the surprising part. Which Republican is the fastest rising of them all in terms of favorability numbers growing and growing very rapidly here, days before we go to Iowa?
I want to guess Chris Christie.
You're right.
I knew it. I knew it.
How did you?
I just knew in my heart.
I thought you were going to take 5 names to get to it.
No, I just knew because I was like, it's like, okay, well, I knew it wasn't going to be Trump, and I knew that, what would be surprising. I mean,
okay.
Ted Cruz, Rubio,
okay.
Jeb. I mean, it could have been Jeb.
Jeb would have been surprising.
It would either been Jeb or Christie, and
Yeah.
I just felt like it was Christie because I've been watching. We have, Christie events come in, and I watch him, and
right.
we always talked about how Christie is the guy that just says what he's thinking. Like if Trump wasn't in the race,
Correct.
Christie would have a lot more support. So
Right.
I just used all my knowledge and made an educated guess, and this is why I do well on standardized tests. Humble brag.
Look, okay, listen to these numbers. He was so far out of the running up until now. Back in November, his favorables were 35%.
Mm-hmm.
They're at 53% in, 8 weeks? 7 weeks?
Wow.
I mean, he's grown dramatically, and you and I have talked about it. I think it's because he has the credibility on ISIS, on the war on terror, on fighting Al-Qaeda, on 9/11.
Well, on being in an executive position also as governor. There's that element of it too.
Yes, right.
Versus being a part of the Senate. I mean,
right.
being able to be in charge of a whole place.
Yeah. So that is a huge jump, and it puts him, up there. Oh, next question. We already know, for example, that Bush had been seeing his numbers drop. We know that Ben Carson had been seeing his numbers drop. Donald Trump seems to be holding steady. There are a couple of polls that show him dropping a little, others that show him going up. But I already told you Chris Christie is the one who's going guy. He now has his favorability number